listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's The Good Wife After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's The Good Wife After Show.
Hello, everybody. How are you tonight? Ooh, perfect
Great.
music to set the mood. I am just here welcoming. I have Michelle on the phone with me tonight from San Francisco. My name is Courtney Henderson. I will be your host tonight. I will have a full panel with me next week so that we can discuss The Good Wife. Tonight we're going to talk about Season 5, Episode 11. It's called David and Goliath, very appropriately so, as you see the episode and the case at hand. I am going to break this down with Michelle, and I guess we'll just kind of go right into it. Michelle, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you, Courtney?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for calling in. I just want to get started. I know this is our first episode for the season, so we're a little late to the party, and how appropriate that the episode starts right where it left off at the beginning of December at the holiday party, the Flork August holiday party. And we hear Miss Marilyn tell us that Peter is the name of her baby. So
Yep.
I have to ask you, because as I've been watching the season and you know, watching her be pregnant, and episode after episode, they never address, is she married? Does he have a boyfriend, a fiance? Is she like a single? Is she a surrogate? We have no idea where this baby came from. But everybody thinks it's Peter's. Like, they have all these little implications, and then she says the name Peter, and then, you know, we take a month off. What do you think?
So you mean at the beginning of the
Yes.
show? What did I think?
Yes,
Or?
because, you know, of course, at the end, which we'll get to, we find out.
we know.
But
Right.
what, like, leading up to this, what did you think?
Well, the whole time, I honestly was like, okay, it's either, because I didn't know if she was married or even, you know, had a boyfriend. I was like, either she was having an affair with Peter or Flork, or I thought, honestly, oddly enough, I thought maybe it could be made up, just because sometimes there are crazy twists and turns.
Like she wasn't actually pregnant.
But then I realized, kind of like, okay, she really is getting sick, so she probably isn't faking it. But at first I thought she might be faking it.
I didn't even think of that,
idea.
but that's a really good, yeah, that's interesting. I like that. So the whole time, didn't think it was Peter Flork's. Because
Really?
they couldn't do that. They couldn't do that to Alicia. They just, like, the show started out 4 or 5 seasons ago with, you know, with her husband cheating on her. And as much as we like kind of the steamy tension between her and Will, that's not what the season is about. And I just, it couldn't have been that. I would have been so mad. And I feel like, I can't be alone in that. And they couldn't have made it his baby. And I often wonder, actually, if they've been waiting to find out in the writing if they should make it his baby or not, and that's why they haven't addressed it.
You know what? I kind of thought so too. I mean, I unfortunately don't know the names of the writers. I should look that up. But I just love the writing style, because oftentimes it feels like their plot is like unknown until they get closer.
Yeah. I would be curious. I'll have to look into that to see if there's any indication of the writing style as far as that goes. You know, have they had this all planned out all along, or is it kind of a, you know, only 2 or 3 episodes ahead of time that they're doing this? And I agree with you. I mean, this is my favorite show. As an actor watching scripted TV, this is by far my favorite show, and a huge part of that is the writing, because I think that when you watch a show and the characters are so, you love them and you hate them and you invest in them, and like, that's good writing, you know? And
I agree.
This Marilyn chick, I hate her, because this whole time you're just like, you're supposed to be the ethics lady, and all you're doing is like ruining everything. You're attractive. you're naming your baby Peter, you know, all of these things. It's just, you can't do this. Like, I hate you. But then it's like, well, you're supposed to not like her. So job well done.
And I think you made a really good point going back to the writers. You know, you're like, as a fan, you're saying, okay, there's no way they could, one, make it that simple. Of course she's going to sleep with Peter. That's the thought process, because she's gorgeous and he's looking at her and all of that.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was also like, well, that would be too obvious. But that's kind of the brilliance of it, is that it was too obvious. So most people probably, or most fans probably were like, no. It's got to be something else.
Yeah.
And then the fact that she's the ethics lady, right? I'm with you. I'm like floored that she even was so blasé about, why am I blanking on his name? The deputy, basically, who works with Peter.
Eli? Like
Eli,
his campaign manager?
Eli, yeah, Eli's like questioning her, and she acts like it's none of his business. I'm thinking, like, wait, you're the ethics lady. This
not
is
a big
deal
deal
all the time.
Yeah, like you had to go stalk down Alicia at one point to talk to her about something, and you don't see how this is going to be an issue for his campaign, that
right.
you have a baby named Peter, and you mysteriously there's like no father to be heard of.
Right, immaculate conception. I mean, really.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
One character that I really don't like, and I'm just curious about you, I really cannot stand and I don't know her name. She plays the cop, one of the newer characters. It's good friends with the Irish guy who now works with...
So Damien, that just got made a partner.
Yes.
And we see her in this episode because it looks like Damien hires her to kind of follow Kalinda. Like, because...
Right, or at least asks her.
Yeah, it's like a triangle. And I don't actually know her name either, but I know who you're talking about, because right at the end of this episode she pulls her over.
Right.
And so let's talk about that for a second. So Kalinda is following and trying to get information on Damien so that he can be cleared and vetted to be like a trustworthy partner. A very normal procedure for Lockhart Gardner, something that isn't a secret, that because of the way that Will handled bringing him on, they weren't able to do ahead of time. And Damien doesn't like this. He clearly has something to hide, and I am so curious as to what it is, because even when he's talking to Will, and Will's like, dude, just like, let's just talk about it now. And he's like, no, we'll talk if she finds something. Like, clearly there's something out there that he doesn't think she'll find, but he's worried enough that he's hired somebody to go after her and look, and it's just this like weird triangle. Yes.
And I just think that, and I'm actually looking to try to find her character's name, but Damien's friend, the cop, I feel like, I mean, who knows? The innuendo, right, or what's being in sort of we're led to believe a little bit by the way they behave, is that at one point Damien and her were together, but clearly, you know, just like everything around Kalinda, it's mysterious. So it's mysterious as to whether the cop is, you know, really likes Kalinda, or is just doing what Damien asks, or a combination. So it's kind of fascinating, and I think that's why I dislike her so much, because I can't figure her out. Yeah. And I can't tell if she's just being really, like, a really big jerk to Kalinda, or if she, like, is just trying to do whatever Damien's asking.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because you say mysterious, and every time I would put that word on Kalinda also, but I don't hate her at all.
Oh no.
I love, you know, I'm like, I wish I was as good at digging things up and, you know, all of the stuff that she does. I wish I was that good at a job, you know.
Right.
The way that her mind works and the way that she thinks of things is just incredible as a character. And again, so it's interesting that they're able to do that. Again, with the writing, they're able to make two characters that are somewhat similar, and you can't stand and you hate one because of the relationship you've invested in Kalinda, because she's been there since the beginning, even though she's kind of the same way. I mean,
no, absolutely. You're right, because you've got that, well, I think as a fan, like, I've got this bond with Kalinda because she, like, Will and, like, you know, Julianne and all of, like, she's, like, one of the early ones, so it's like we've gotten to know her.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the writing's so special with characters, right? Like the character development and the fact that we trust her even if she does things that we wouldn't do.
Right. Well, and in past episodes, she's kind of screwed some people over. I mean, you know what I mean? But yet it's almost like she's consistent. And so for some reason that makes it sort of okay. I don't know, because, you know, not that long ago, she totally screwed over Alicia and Carrie, because she made it seem like she was going to go with them and just to get the information for the chum hum, you know, back, maybe 3 episodes ago. And, you know, and yet we still like her, even though, you know, Alicia's the character, and like, you know, you want to see everything good happen to her. At least I do. And
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just that Kalinda can do that to her, and yet it's still okay.
Exactly. And it is interesting. I feel the same way as a fan, that I was like conflicted slightly, like, really Kalinda? But, and the reason why I was conflicted is because not only just because she screwed them over, but because she should have, you know, Alicia's back given what happened between her and Peter long ago. Right. And so this whole time she still ends up, it's funny, she'll take 2 steps forward and almost like a step back, but not really, because she's just doing her job. But she'll almost always be there to protect Alicia, but at the same time, she's doing her job and has to do other things to get back at Alicia.
We see that in this episode, actually, and maybe that's what makes it okay now, because Eli goes to her because he wants to find out the truth about this the baby daddy of Marilyn's baby, and Kalinda is the only person he can go to and know that it's going to stay quiet, and I believe that it does. And it's so interesting because, you know, at the end, we find out, of course, that the dad, you know, it's interesting, though, because I'm not 100% sold that this guy is the dad. I won't lie.
You mean that?
The Peter, like the music guy, or the movie guy, that the older movie guy, like at the end. I don't know.
I see what you're saying.
I'm not sold that. I think maybe she found him and is he sort of like a decoy to but it can't be Peter Florix. It can't be. It just can't be.
Why not? I think it could be, actually.
It better not. I know. What do you guys think, viewers? Tweet me at Cohen and at AfterBuzz TV and let us know what you think. Who's the dad of Marilyn's baby? Because it sure beats me. Maybe you guys think it's settled now. I sure don't. I hope it's his. I hope it's not Peter Florix, but let me know what you think. Well, let's move into the case and kind of the storyline of this episode with Alicia and Will, of course, still at bat with one another. And the way, again, the writing, how clever they are by sending an old client of Alicia's to Will's door, of course, to oppose the client that Alicia just happened to take on contingency. You know, it's just kind of like, this is just, the writing is just clever. I like that they're doing that, but I don't want to watch Alicia and Will. I don't want to watch them fight the rest of the season. You know, it's been really fun to watch Alicia and Carrie go out on their own, and it's been really cool to watch now that Diane didn't get to leave, them sort of figure out the way the way that Lockhart Gardner is kind of gonna be now that she isn't leaving, and so I don't want to watch them fight. But this case, I liked it. I actually earlier today watched the very first episode of The Good Wife ever earlier, and it's interesting because I found 2 references in this episode from that episode. And I don't know if it's coincidence. It almost makes me want to go back and watch more to see if they're referencing a lot of things in these episodes that I'm forgetting. But one of the things was I wrote it down, the Hail Mary pass, like the sports football term. And Robin asks Alicia that at some point. And it's Alicia just makes this face about it, like, because she knows exactly where that's coming from. That's a Will term that they used to share. But they take this case, they find out that, you know, Alicia's going against Will with their the network versus these poor, starving or up and coming artists, and they go to court, and we see them using these tactics against each other, right. And it's always Will. It seems like that's initiating it, and it's like, what do you have to prove? What, is he going to confess his love to her at some point? What's going on as far as why he just can't let this go? I mean, I get that it's personal and it sucks, but I
think Will is like really going to have sort of a nervous, or I think he's having a nervous breakdown. I mean, I think that's something that towards the end of the show, Diane went in to talk to Will and was like, look, Will, what are you doing that seems rash, right? We're opening different offices. It seems like there's this, this high speed to every decision we're making. And then at the end, she conceded to him because he's like, I've earned this right now. I didn't leave. But I still think he is going through a breakthrough. And you're right. He, at least from the fans' perspective and the way the writers are selling it to us, is that he's the one that's always picking the fight with Alicia. And she's being so, what got to me today is like watching this episode and thinking, okay, like her character has really progressed so much that now she just doesn't care. She just doesn't care what anyone else thinks. And she's like, I started my own firm. If he's going to play hardball, I'll play hardball. And she just does it so well. So I think, and they do the writers do a lot of puns and refer back to older episodes and things like that, but it really works for them because they're clearly keeping track of it. They're just really able to weave it together.
Yeah. I loved that. I loved how he was using the old technique of something that she'd confided in him to work on and make better from that first episode, or her first day in court with the objections throwing her off. And then she goes and she puts on her old suit.
Right.
The suit. Oh my gosh. And it's just, I love that she is absolutely like take no prisoners, unapologetic. And out there right now, it is really hard for shows they're not successful typically with like a female lead, and this is that. And I love fifth season, 10 to 13 million viewers and going strong. And she is, like you said, she's come so far, and it's so fun to watch her just kind of kicking butt and liking it and kind of embracing and owning that. Like, yeah, I am actually kind of kicking butt right now.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. And I wouldn't say there are two female leads, but I've loved that in a way there's more than one, definitely more than one. There's like at least 3 very strong female characters, and it's really fascinating that the show, with, like you said, not just with a major female lead is so successful, but with so many strong females in this show is very successful. I think it's one of the best cleverly written shows out there, and that just adds to it. As a fan, I love that.
Yes, and so with the case, I mean, we see at the end that Alicia wins again, and so that's the thing that's interesting is she kind of keeps powering through. I mean, they ended up in the previous episodes, they ended up with the Chum Hum account in the end, and Will comes at her again, and then they win this case. And so it's just kind of like, Will, like, when are you going to give it up? And I don't think he is. And
yeah,
I mean, I don't know if you're a big music fan. I'm a huge music fan. And so the whole episode, I was sitting there like texting one of my friends who works in the music industry. And I'm just like, I wish you were here with me because you would have so many like things to say about, are they saying the right laws? Like, is that the right kind of license that they would be needing? And is this how it works? Because I've never heard of, and the writing, I've never heard of somebody covering a song and then somebody covering the cover, and that the band who made the original, I feel like I'm not going to make sense.
No,
so
but yeah,
the
really,
guys that Alicia represented that were like, wait a second, they stole my cover. Like I've never heard of that before, where the cover can actually become an original piece of work that could actually be stolen. I didn't know that was even a thing, that was an issue.
And I think that's part of like just how, again, amazing the writing staff is that they've figured that out and they've built that their cases are so complex. Like I was reading a critique of a good positive critique of The Good Wife last week, I think it was, because it is one of my favorite shows. So it's kind of odd that I get to talk to you about it. But and in the critique, the guy is saying that it's one of the best shows out there that maybe is underrated because the writing, like the cases they portray on the show, are ahead of our time in a way of what even our press are talking about, like around, when it comes to music, being downloaded incorrectly, or when it comes to social media. Like they've done all these great cases that really are relevant to what we see in our own society.
Yeah.
And I think this is just a hysterical tidbit on the side, because I don't know if you saw it, but I actually saw it on E! Online before. Like I look at a lot of online entertainment magazines, and The Good Wife, the cast actually remade that video from tonight's episode with the whole cast in it, though. Like, it's hysterical.
Wait, the video, the music video?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I will tweet this later. I will find it and I will tweet it because I need to see this. Oh, they're amazing. I love, and they're such a good cast and they're so gelled, and I love that. Oh, I can't wait to watch that. I can't wait to watch that. Oh my goodness.
It's great.
So,
yeah, and they're a great cast. I think I hope the show continues for a while.
I think it will. I think it will. And can I ask, you don't have to answer, but if you will, how old are you?
I'm in my early 30s.
Early 30s. Okay. I'm in my late 20s. And I was curious, so I looked up a little bit about the show, and the median viewer age for the show is 60.1 years old. And it has gone from like 56 or 58 from the first season to 60. So,
Oh my God.
So I guess really the viewers are getting younger because the people that were 58 5 years ago when the show started aren't 60, but it's just kind of funny. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like an old soul because with a busy schedule that I keep as an actor and as a host, I don't have time to keep up on all shows every year. I'll do like binges of watching a show. But this has consistently been the one show I have always watched every week or within the week, if I can't watch it at night on Sundays. And I can't believe that people don't watch it. So when I run across somebody my own age that does, I'm like, there's another one.
No, you're right. Like, I mean, this is one of the shows that I watch every week. Like, I'll just go online and look it up if I've missed it, which usually I'm busy. But I don't think I know anyone my age that watches it. And I'm like, what, people?
I don't know why.
It's a great show.
It's such a good show. So I do want to touch on also, because you kind of talked about it at the end with Lockhart Gardner and Will and Diane in the office. And kind of like he does kind of call her out and say, look, you're the one that left or almost left, not me. Like, give me a chance to kind of put the show on the road. And I was really surprised that she kind of gave in so easily when she's been fighting him so much. And we see in the episode how they're pitting, the partners against each other to try to maneuver the business the way that they both, they have different visions of where it's going, and they're using the other partners to try to maneuver to get their way. And do you think that we'll see them stay together as a partnership?
I think for right now, because I don't think Diane has anywhere to go. I think if Diane had somewhere to go, she might leave, or it might be. I mean, I can see her in the near future maybe being like, "That's it. Well, I've had it." If he doesn't snap out of it.
Yeah, if the meltdown continues and gets worse.
Yeah, right. And I think she's just trying to be kind of like as good of a friend as possible because they really just have each other. Like, there's no one else at Lockhart Gardner that I would trust, and that I think they probably really don't trust anyone else there either.
Only Kalinda. That's really it. I mean, and Will, I don't even think he trusts Damien. I think, honestly, I think that he thinks it, I think he realizes it was probably a mistake to hire him, especially in the way that he did, but he's just so stubborn and kind of in this meltdown that he has to just go with it. You know, it's kind of, he just, until he's proven way, way wrong because Damien does something way out there, or we find out finally what this thing he's hiding is, and it's just an unforgivable thing as far as working with him, that only then will Will be able to admit, admit that. Or do you think that they'll go huge? I mean, do you think that all of these expansions and Will's determination will get him what he wants, and that it won't be about Alicia versus Will anymore, and they'll kind of work independently of each other?
I think I don't see that happening so much, just because I think the focus of the show really is about Will and Alicia in particular. But I do think that he'll get, you know, a lot of what he wants until it crashes. Meaning, like, I do think Damien, it's going to be something horrendous, like scandal-like, right? And I think that'll be shown later when the writers are like, okay, now's the right time, but they're going to drag it out, which I love about this show, and that's what keeps me watching it, because you don't even see it coming, and all of a sudden you can link, you know, 5 other episodes where you should have seen this big plot unfold. But I think Will honestly is having a nervous breakdown, and his whole demeanor seems to be about trying to prove that he can do it, because he wants to just not pay attention to the fact that he lost, you know, everything he lost with Alicia. Yeah. And so he's just dead focused on making sure that he's the best in his eyes that he can be.
Well, and he had the girl, and she wasn't on the episode tonight, but she's been in the last few, this fling girl, I don't want to call her girlfriend, because it's just kind of like a lover, I mean, I guess. But it's interesting. It seems like it's more because she's, you know, he brings her into the office to use the internet, and I mean, it's just so obvious that it's not going anywhere. This is totally just a survival tactic as part of this breakdown. But do you think we'll see more of her? Because she wasn't in the episode tonight.
Well, and that's a good point. Like, I think I'm with you. Like, I don't think she's meant to, her character is probably not meant to be around for very long. Yeah. And I wouldn't call it a relationship of any sort either. No. But I think, I mean, I'm sure, like, the fans haven't forgotten, so they'll bring her back at some point, I'm sure pretty soon. But because I think tonight was really about Alicia and Will confronting each other, and Alicia, you know, so it was mostly just about, it was enough, I think, in the plot to have Will struggle with seeing Alicia in the suit, you know, that she wore when they were together, and all of that they didn't even need that other character in there. And
they played dirty. Sure. They both did, and I think Will finally kind of sees this isn't going away, and Alicia's a really, really good lawyer. Right. And again, so this is something interesting. This didn't even cross my mind till just now. But in the first episode, going way, way back, episode 1, season 1, Alicia's first case is actually a retrial of a case that Diane had. And basically Diane had convinced no one. The jury was stuck in the room, and the only way that they could get out of the room is if they deadlocked, which means 50-50. There was no majority on either side, and so all of the jurors they agreed to vote 6 versus 6 so they could leave, and it would have to be a retrial. And Alicia wins the retrial with a completely different strategy. She finds old evidence that had been pitted or thrown out by the cops because it didn't look relevant. And so, you know, bringing that back to tonight's episode, she beats Will. I mean, she's a good lawyer. And yes, she learned from them, but I think that there's just something sort of like natural in her that she's the better lawyer, and maybe Will knows that, and expanding is the only way to keep
competing with her.
The competition.
And I think so too. I mean, I think that's one of the things I love about her character is that she's not, you know, perfect. She's normal. She had to learn things to move up the ladder, but she's also just, her perseverance and just who she is really what's making her as great as she is. And then I think Will is just, I think you're right. He knows that she's really amazing, but he keeps trying to prove that he's just to make himself feel better, that he's even better. So by picking on her, right, or picking fights, I think he keeps forgetting that, undermining her, right? He's underestimating that, wait a minute, she's great. And then she reminds them every time, like, nope, I'm really that good.
I'm really that good. Well, and so kind of moving on, I guess, to the end of the episode where we see a little bit about next week. I guess I kind of want to talk about predictions and what you think is going to happen, you know, in the next episode or in the next couple episodes. We've kind of touched on some of it a little bit.
Predictions.
I always love it when they do that.
Does that mean we're running out of time?
Oh, no. It just means that we're just going to talk about what comes next. So next, so just kind of your predictions of where you think the season is going. And I guess I'll start because we've talked so much about the writing, and you were kind of saying dragging out the mystery of Damien and dragging out, you know, like we both said, we definitely think that there's something going on and that there's something in his past that is eventually going to be uncovered. Do you think that the writers know what that is? And do you think it's going to cost him his job at Lockhart Gardner?
That's a good question. I think the writers have an idea of what they want it to be because they've got to create the breadcrumbs to get there in the different episodes. And I'm sure it'll cost his job. I'm sure someone's going to get hurt or someone else at Lockhart Gardner will probably get fired as well. I don't know, but I'm thinking it's all, like, I like conspiracy theories, so I'm thinking it's somehow linked to somebody else.
Hopefully David Lee.
Yeah, could be.
That would be I don't like him either. I think he's just a big jerk. But again, good writing.
What do you think is going to happen?
With Damien, you know, I don't know that it'll cost him his job. I actually think it'll end up hurting Will more because he's the one that brought him on the way that he did. So I don't know if maybe it'll put Damien in a place to take over from Will. You know, to where he kind of ends up having more of the partners kind of in with him, because he definitely already, you know, he was sitting next to, I think his name's Harold, the old guy, you know, like telling him how to vote and all of that. So, you know, I mean, granted, like him and Will right now are on the same team, but I think that whatever happens, I think it'll put them against each other. And with the meltdown and everything, I think it actually may put Damien in better light than Will, at least for a time. I don't think we'll ever lose Will, of course. He's just, I mean, he is the Gardner of Lockhart Gardner, which was the firm the first 4.5 seasons has been about. And what about, so we kind of talked also about Peter, the baby Peter that isn't born yet, and the dad, and I'm not sold. I think in the next episode or two, it'll become pretty clear whether or not this movie guy really is the dad, or if it's a cover to just get Eli to kind of leave her alone about it and stop searching. We see also, though, Eli at the end not even caring about that because of this reporter and this surveillance video, which, of course, we all think is going to be Peter and or Marilyn at that hotel, the Sheridan in Springfield. Yeah. But it's not. It's not even close to that. It's supposed evidence for Peter cheating, buying, you know, winning an election illegally. Yeah. And that's going to take, I think, several episodes to unwind. You don't think that it'll come out? I mean, just with what we see from what they're saying, you know, in next week's episode, it comes up instantly. I mean, they can't ignore it because this press woman is going to tell the story. But as far as whether we find out or not, but do you think he's cheated? Even if he doesn't know about it, like, do you think his office or his campaign cheated? Oh, I think I don't know. I actually haven't thought about that. I've been thinking about everything else. There's so much. The show. So I'm not sure, but I do think that he and Marilyn have done something, even if he's not the father of her baby. I'm just skeptical. Yeah, and I would agree. I think that there's something there. part of me almost wants to say, just because I just don't like Marilyn's character, that the campaign did cheat, that Peter didn't know about it, but that somebody in his campaign, which I would love it if it was Marilyn because she's the ethics person, and we just don't know a lot about her other than, she's naming her baby Peter. So I would love to see it be something that she had her hand in, because it would also be just such a twist to see the ethics woman having not Peter's baby, but costing him his campaign, or having his baby and like wanting him out of the public eye maybe so that they can be together and have the baby if it is theirs. You know what I mean? Because if he's in the public eye, she'll have to keep doing what she's doing and pretending that it's somebody else's baby. And, and let Peter continue to be with his wife, who has stood by him through all of these kinds of things before.
Right.
So.
And I think Marilyn's character is so, what am I trying to say? The word is like, not just flighty, but she doesn't seem to get it. And that could be an act, right? Like acting like she doesn't get why it's so important to say the baby's father or whatever. But I think she is so careless, I guess, which is ironic, that I can see her doing that. I can, like you're saying, I can see her trying to get Peter to step down so that she can just, be the mother, or just so she can get, I don't know, more time with Peter or whatever it may be, because she just doesn't seem to be as ethical as she's supposed to be.
Right. I mean, maybe she'll come out of the woodwork and just prove us, well, at least you and I, but prove us all wrong as far as being ethical. But she definitely just doesn't seem, there's just something sneaky about her. I don't like it. And one thing that caught my eye, when Alicia says in next week's episode, just tell me you will fix it. And she is so angry and emotional, like almost on the point of tears. And she's like saying it to Peter, like, just fix this. And it looks like it's about the campaign and the rumors about, but I don't think it's about that at all. I don't know what it's about, but I think that they edited it to look like she's upset about it looking like he's cheated or, bought the election, but I don't think it's about that. I don't know what it's about, but I don't think it's about that.
I don't either, but I agree. I mean, I don't think it's about the campaign. I'm not sure what it's about. I didn't get a chance actually to see the highlights from next week. Okay. Like, I didn't see the little clip. So.
Okay. Well, then you are in for a whole treat. This whole season has been like that, though. Every episode, like last episode leading into this, I just couldn't believe that they just left us with her saying Peter to Alicia's mom, actually, which I didn't catch that prior, but that's the woman that's talking to her at the beginning of the episode of the holiday party. It's Alicia's mom that she's saying, I'm going to name my baby Peter.
It's hysterical. Oh. I mean, it's like subtly clever, right? The way that they...
Again, it's the writing that... Who else would she tell? Eli and Alicia's mom? So.
It's hysterical. I mean, I'm excited to see next week. I really hope that more and more people get into it and realize... Because I think a lot of people may think it's boring, but it's not. You just have to really follow along the first couple, episodes or whatever to understand the dynamics, and then it's just so fascinating. So I really hope the show continues to get more readership or viewership.
Yes, I do too. I don't think that they're in any fear of going away at this point. I sure hope not, because the writing is fantastic. The acting is incredible. I love all of the different things that they're doing, and how. I mean, you have to have good actors with good writing to own those characters and really make those parts shine and be invested, where we love Alicia and you kind of want to see her in Will, but you really want her to be with her husband, and you really are curious about Kalinda, but you hate Marilyn, and you hate Eli sometimes, but then he kind of ends up being the good guy. There's just so many dynamics with all of these characters. So
exactly. So it's nonstop. It's fascinating. It's like, I think, silly, but kind of like The West Wing used to be for me. Like, wow, all these plots and different twists and turns, and it's very similar, but it's obviously a very different type of show.
Yes, it is. It's very different, but equally as good. The West Wing also had fantastic writing. So
Yes.
All right. Well, I will let you go, and we will hopefully talk again as the season continues. You can call or tweet anytime so that we can follow up with these predictions and see how wrong and right we were. AfterBuzz Nation out there, go on iTunes, subscribe to us, leave feedback, like us, comment. We love knowing what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, so that we can just make these shows even better for you. Next week, I will be here with a full panel, so we'll be able to talk in studio. If you have any questions or need anything, just tweet us at AfterBuzz TV, and we will get back to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you, Michelle.
Thanks so much. You're welcome. Have a great night.
You too.
Okay, cheers.
What's your Twitter?
My Twitter is at COUHEN.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.